Hello, here's my February plan with me. I know I just did my 2022 setup, but it's definitely been a while since my last monthly setup. I decided to stop doing these around the end of 2020 because they started to feel more of like a burden than something I actually wanted to do. I was just kind of getting them out to get them out. I wasn't really making any improvement on my video production, but this time around, I don't think I'm going to be the most consistent with uploading these new plan with me's, but I'm really hoping to improve upon my video production and to make other videos non-related to bullet journaling. So I'm pretty much just going to release these videos when I feel like I have the time, and luckily this month was one of them. Even though my second semester just started. But speaking of February, my theme for this month is strawberries. I originally wanted to do this theme because I found that I had a lot of strawberry themed weeklies throughout 2021, but now thinking about it, I actually have a few connections to strawberries. First of all, there's my iconic strawberry teacup that I have in all my profile pictures. It was originally just a mug my mom had bought, but I decided to use it in one of my early profile pictures, and now I definitely consider it one of the main aspects of my brand. And in addition to the strawberry mug, we've been growing strawberries in our backyard in the springtime. My parents had really been getting into gardening over quarantine, and so now we're continuing to grow strawberries in the spring and summer. The idea of having a kind of strawberry farm seemed really cool to me, and it actually inspired one of my earlier ideas for my February theme. For any fans of The Office watching, I was definitely considering doing a Shroot Farms inspired theme, but making it Aldrich Strawberry Farms instead of Shroot Beet Farms. I ended up not choosing it for this month, but if it never becomes a monthly theme, it'll definitely be one of my weekly themes in the future. I ended up deciding on a mix of realistic and stylized strawberry doodles. I ended up really liking it after testing it out, so I just went with it. For my monthly quote page, I ended up doing lyrics from AGR's song Record Player. School's definitely been more on the monotonous and boring side this year, so these lyrics are definitely pretty fitting for second semester. Moving on, I have my calendar page, and I'm just using my brown Zig Writer pen to write kind of a wavy February title. I actually realized that February is the first time in many months that I've actually had a consistent font for all my titles. Since I usually don't post many of my monthly spreads on Instagram, my monthly spreads started to get very minimalistic in terms of design. I figured that if nobody was seeing them and they were still very functional for me, it was fine if they were half finished. But putting together my February layouts, it's definitely fun to have consistent spreads. Next up is my notes page. This spread is definitely one of the more minimal ones that I've done, but I still added some doodles. It's not a completely blank page like the ones I've done these past few months. I pretty much just use this spread to jot random things down, but the issue is I never really know how much of it I'll use up in the end. Throughout 2019, I used to use up an entire 2 pages, but sometimes now I barely even fill up 1 page. But I still add it into my spreads because you never really know when you need to write something down. Moving on, I have my weekly goals spread. This is another one of my more simple layouts, but it's definitely very functional for me. Over this past year of bullet journaling, I found that having weekly goals are much more useful to me than having monthly goals. I found that monthly goals are much more of like a wish list, whereas weekly goals are like larger tasks that can be broken down into smaller ones that are much easier to think through. On the right, I have my habit tracker spread. These spreads are kind of my equivalent to New Year's resolutions. I use them for about a week, but then neglect them for the rest of the month. I'm not really sure what makes me think that I'll keep up with my habit tracker this month, but I'm hopeful, and I definitely spent more time on this one than my other past ones. On the far right of the spread, I have a mood tracker. This is actually one of the more new spreads that I'm trying out. I've done mood trackers before, but they've just been the same as the other calendars in the spread. This time I'm going to try out more of a mood graph. New spreads are kind of exciting to try out, so hopefully this is the thing that'll make me stick to my habit trackers. Next up, I have my Mega Content Planner. I basically just use this spread to plan out my content in business day to day. This is definitely one of my favorite functional spreads in my bullet journal, since it really helps me plan ahead, and having these categories together helps to space out and pace my work. This way I can make sure that not too many tasks fall into the same day. Flipping to the next page, I have my brain dump. I pretty much just use this spread to write down things on my mind, usually things that are stressing me out. This spread definitely helps me function throughout the day, so I don't have to think too much about the things that I'm worried about. Also, around this point in the setup, I was getting very tired of drawing strawberries. I mean, I really like this theme, but my hand was hurting so much after filming this. Last up, I have my monthly highlights page. It's another one of my more simple spreads, but it's definitely fun to look back and see everything that I wrote throughout the month, even if most days are more uneventful. But usually I've found that there's always something that makes a day a little bit more special. Well, this pretty much wraps up my February monthly setup. I wasn't really sure how this theme was going to turn out, but I ended up really liking how this came together. I'm hoping I'll be able to have time to do a March plan with me video, but it really all depends on my schoolwork situation. I guess we'll see. And as always, thank you so much for watching.